Hello everyone and welcome to the second lesson in using the area model for multiplication. If you missed the first one, I'll leave a link in the description. But basically what we're doing here is using a visual representation to make multiplying bigger numbers a bit easier for us to understand. So what we can see here is I've got the numbers 23 and 51 and multiplying them by each other. So using the area model, I have split the 23 into a 20 and a 3, and I've just moved it to the side just so that it matches up with the size of my area model. And I've done the same with 50 and 1, and this is going to make it much easier to multiply the numbers by splitting them up and multiplying them by tens rather than by tens and ones together. So first one I'm going to do is 20 and 50, which is the biggest one of the bunch. Quickest way for us to do this is to multiply the starting numbers by each other. So that means 2 by 5. So if we multiply 2 by 5, we know we get 10. Now, a very quick way of working this out when we're looking at numbers that end in 0 is to multiply the first two numbers together and then add on all the zeros remaining in that multiplication. So here we end up with 1,000. So once you have that number, pop it into that 1,000 area model rectangle, and that part of it is good to go, and that's the bulk of our calculation for this first problem. So then we're going to move on to the 20 times 1, just to complete the top row. Now we all know 20 times 1, or any number multiplied by 1, is of course going to be the number you're multiplying, which is 20, and we'll go ahead there and pop that into the correct box. So now we've done all of our 20 and 1 multiplication in the top. Then we're going to go 3 times 50, and it doesn't really matter what order you complete these in, as long as they are all completed, you'll still end up with the correct answer. Now again, we can do 3 times 5, which is 15, and then adding on that extra 0 from the 50 to make it 3 groups of 50, which is 150, and popping that into the box as well. And finally, a very easy one, 3 times 1, and of course we know that is 3. So once we end up popping our 3 into our final segment of our area model, we just want to basically add all of them up, and that's going to give us the total area of our not to scale rectangles, and that'll give us our final answer. So you need to be quite good with your quick addition with this one. Using the split strategy is good because it's already been split up for you. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in purple just to make it look a little bit different, and we'll add the 1,000 to the 150. So remember, when we're splitting it up, it's easier to split by thousands, hundreds, tens, and ones, and add all of those up together. Now what I'm doing here is trying to line it up as best as I can, and obviously it's a little bit of a tricky thing while you're typing, but that's okay. You should be able to do this much more accurately in your books or on a whiteboard or wherever, and if you line it up, it does make it a lot easier to add these numbers. And my annoying little options cursor keeps getting in the way, but what we can see here is I've added up the units first, and then I've popped in the tens. So I've got 3 units plus 0, 0, 0 equals 3. The tens is 0 tens plus 5 tens plus 7 tens, which is 70. And then I've added up the hundreds, which is 1, and then there's only 1,000. So our final answer is 1,173 for 23 times 51. Now you can see I've made a little note at the bottom of the page saying using extended area model does not have to be to scale. Now if we made it to scale, as in the previous video, your area models would get very, very big very, very quickly. So we don't want to do that. If we can just keep them nice and neat and organized, they don't have to be to scale. It actually makes it much easier for us to visualize how big they are. They don't even have to be different sizes. They can all be the same size, as long as you know that you have to split up your multiplied numbers into their hundreds, tens, units, or whatever place. So I've jumped straight into the 145 multiplied by 92. I've split the 145 into 140 and 5, and the 90 and the 2 into 92. So basically we're going to do 90 times 100 to begin in this example. Now we know that 9 times 1, of course, is 9. And then we add those 3 zeros as well to make it nice and easy for us to find the answer of 9,000. We'll pop that into our box to make it a bit easier for us to add in the end. Then we're going to move across to 9 times 40. So 9 times 40, or sorry, 90 times 40. So 9 times 4, as we all know, is 36. So we're going to pop the 36 in there and add our 2 zeros. Being a wizard with your times tables makes this a lot easier to complete. So we've got two nice big numbers there, 9,000 and 3,600. Then we are going to complete the 90s and do 90 multiplied by 5, and then pop that under as best we can to line it up. And again, if it's lined up in your books or how you're working out, it makes it much easier to add them up at the end. And 9 times 5 is 45, and then we add that 0 again to give us 450. Now we're going to move on to the next part of it. 2 times 100 is, of course, 200. And it's important to make sure you record each step of this when you're starting out so that it doesn't get too far away from you, because it ends up being quite a bit of mathematics and it's easier to record it all. Then 2 times 40, remember, well, we know 2 times 4 is 8, so we just have to add that 0, and that is going to give us the answer of 80 to pop into our area model. Last one is nice, easy. 2 times 5, we don't have to do any sort of adding of any extra numbers. 2 times 5 is 10. And again, make sure we add them up. So what I'm going to do here with this example is I'm going to split up my thousands, my hundreds, my tens, and my ones when I'm adding up, just to make it a bit easier for myself. So I'm going to add 9,000 to 3,000, as those were the whole 1,000 units within my area model. And now I'm going to end up with 12,000 there. Then I'm going to add the hundreds. I've got a 600, a 400, and a 200. So we know 600 plus 400 is equal to 1,000, and then we just add that 200 again, which will give us 1,200. So hopefully by this point you are getting a bit of a better understanding of mental maths and why it is so important. If you have great mental maths, it makes it a lot easier to calculate these sorts of models and to actually rewire your brain to be a bit more mathematical. And then we're going to add our our tens. We've got 50 plus 80 plus 10. Here I've just added the 80 to the 10 to get 90, and then added 50 on in my head to get 140. You might have done it a different way, and that's totally fine. Whatever works for you and whatever is most efficient. So I've got the units left. There are no units to add, so we're just going to start by popping in our answers. So in terms of all the units, there are 0 in each pile, so they are going to be a placeholder for us and sit with a 0 in that 1 or units column. I'm having a bit of trouble here finding the right clicking spot, but I've managed to find it, and I've added up my tens, and I've ended up with 4 full tens, so that gives me 40 on the end. Then I've very quickly added my hundreds. 200 plus 100 is 300, and then I jump into my thousands, of which there are only 3,000, and then my 10,000s, of which there is one of those to make 10,000. So my final answer is 13,340. When you add up all of those separate areas to our larger extended area model. I'm just going to put in a nice color purple just so we can see the answer. 145 multiplied by 92 is equal to 13,340. And again, the faster you get at this and the more efficient it is, it does actually become a lot easier, and it's quite fun in the end. And I always find these things to be challenging to learn at first, but they're much better like that. So thanks for watching, everyone. Please don't forget to subscribe and like if you enjoy the content. And I'll be putting out some more mathematical videos soon. See you next time.